Hi and good evening. Some of my students were asking me about how to make calculations in SAT chemistry external exam more easier, especially that it's not allowed to use calculators in the exam. So we will use the rounding up and rounding down in general rounding, and also we will try to use scientific notation and some tactics in making mathematics calculations. So let's begin with the simplest example. Let's say we are going to use combined gas law, that it is P1 V1 over T1 in Kelvin equals P2 V2 over T2 in Kelvin. So let's assume that we have 3 atmospheric pressure multiplied by, this is the initial pressure, multiplied by initial volume, let's say 39 liter over T1 in Kelvin. And let's assume one of the tricks in the exam, it's mentioned that at the same temperature or no change in temperature. So that's meaning T1 is equal to T2 regardless the units Kelvin or centigrade. So if we continue writing the equation or the formula, so let's assume that second pressure is unknown, P2, and you want to find out this value, and the second volume, let's say it is 83 liter over T2 in Kelvin. So first thing, no change in temperature. That means this value is equal to this value, so I can remove them from the equation. So now we have two options: to use long multiplication, 3 by 39, then I use long division over 83, or I use rounding up and rounding down numbers, and believe me, the figures will be very near to the answers A, B, C, blah 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 to the down, D and E. So usually in the SAT exam, the teacher who is writing the question knows that there will be no calculator, so the numbers will be written in a way to test your skills in mathematics and calculations. So accordingly, if you look to the numbers, you can see that this 39 is very near. If you multiply it by 2, it will be giving you 78, very near to 83. So if I assume this is divided by 39, it will give me 1. If this is divided by 39, it will give me 2, but it is not actually 2, it is 2 point something. So I will say that it is 2.1. Now, this is easier than long multiplication and long division. So 2.1 P2 is equal to 3. Now, therefore, P2 is equal to 3 over 2.1. Actually, we know already that 3 over 2 is 1.5, but because of this one, it is little less, so I will just write it 1.4. Now, if I use my calculator, Atmos, of course. So if I use my calculator, if I use the long way, so 3 by 39 over 83 is nearly equal to 1.4. So my guess is correct. So one of the answers will be 1.41, 1.6. And notice that the figures here will not be all near to the real answer. So 1.3 and so on. So the correct answer will be, of course, C. And by rounding up, I have saved at least 30 seconds of my time in the exam. This is one technique you should know. Second technique is multiplication, and in some cases you need to multiply, let's say 25 by 28. So it is little difficult for some students, and it will take some time of them just to write 25, 28, and to use multiplication and blah blah blah. Now there's a simple way called 20 by factorization. 25, 30 minus 2. So 0, 3 by 25 we know it is 7, 5, minus 50. So the answer will be 700. So to be sure that my number is correct, I will use the calculator again. So here is the numbers. Here are the numbers, 25 by 28, and it's equals to 700. So it is correct. This is one way of making fast multiplication for numbers. Try to use it. And the third technique is simply to use scientific notations, especially in Avogadro's numbers, with rounding up. Let's assume that Avogadro's number, after removing the decimals, it is 6 multiplied by 10 to the power 23. And the units, it's particle per mole. Let's assume that he's telling you that there is 5 moles. Then it would be 30. This 30 is coming from 5 by 6 multiplied by 10 to the power 23 as particle. P mean particles, and this might be atoms. Sorry, my pen is little making me facing some bad time in writings. Atoms or molecules. So this is the particles. Now the decimal, I want to move it to the left one side, so the answer would be 3 by 10 to the power 24 particles. So in this example, you have used both rounding up, because this is 6.02 something, you don't need it, and once you make multiplication, it will be easier for you to use direct rounding up. That's all for this film. It's a very fast film, I know, but I hope you can use the simple rules in this film. Thank you very much, and bye bye.